hello. I'm a bit late, sorry, 5 minutes late, but I'm here. And I'm just finishing the advertising on the usual social channels. Just done now, just completed now. So, tonight we have quite an interesting topic to work on. Mainly is something that you have to learn and understand better because it's not something that I did already, at least not with Unreal Engine. We did it with an old engine, which was our own plane shift engine, and is NPC artificial intelligence. So how the NPC moves into the world, how they have perceptions, how they see other people, how they attack, or something like that. So obviously it will be kind of a long way, so it's not something that we just resolve in one evening or in 1 week, maybe in 1 month, but not in 1 week for sure. So Unreal Engine provides already some capabilities for this, and this is what I was investigating a bit before launching the stream. That is also why I'm a bit late. And so I was investigating a bit of what it provides. Consider that again, I'm not an expert of that. Hello Zwei, hello Soup, Maui, nice to see you guys. I'm not an expert of this, so we will have to go through some tutorials, understand the basics, and then build on it, right? And build on top of it. What I've seen is that there is a pretty easy tutorial which is called behavior trees and artificial intelligence, whatever, here in the Unreal Engine main documentation. So a few things that has to be done at the beginning. I will show you what I learned and what I know. Is still very little, but the first thing that you have to do in your level is to ensure that your NPC can walk in on the floor, on the different areas of your level. So by default, your level is just geometry, and it does not have a navigation system in place, right? So there is no navigation, no waypoints or anything else. So in our old system, which I think we will have to trash nearly completely, but we will see. We were defining like points, on the map where the NPC could move, and those points were fixed points, but it was like a network of those points, like a grid, and the NPC could move from one to the other. There were some intersections, and they could then rotate and go into another place and such. So basically, the whole city. If you look at the city from the top, right? This is just a part of the city, but if you look at it from the top, it was like a network of lines, which was dictating where the NPC were moving. So, for example, if you remember this location, sorry, the camera is moving very quick. If you remember this location in game, there are two NPCs just standing here, which are two guards. And they usually patrol around the city. So they start from here, and then they like walk down here, they walk down these stairs, and they walk down here and such, right? So and they go here, and then they go to the plaza, and they patrol the area, right? So all of that in the old engine was done with just predefined waypoints and predefined path that the NPC were following, right? Now, in Unreal Engine, I don't know exactly how to do that, but I think it's smarter than that. So we will see, we will learn. And the first thing that you need to do is to enable what is called a navigation mesh. Navigation mesh is something that we had also in the old plane shift. Is basically a layer of geometry on top of this geometry, which is just telling you the walkable areas. Okay, so the areas where you can walk, when NPCs can walk. So, for example, I don't know, the ledges, you know, this small thing is here in this house is not the place where you can walk because it's too small, right? Doesn't mean that you are not colliding with it. I mean, you can jump on it, right? You can jump on it and jump on this one and then jump on this one and jump on the roof. Yes, you can still do it, but it's not a walkable area. So the first thing you have to do, you have to go under volumes here and take a new navigation modifier volume, right? This thing. No, sorry, navigation mesh bound volume. This one, navigation mesh bound volume. So you just drag and drop this into your scene, and I did it already. And this mesh is then this is just a box. It's a huge box. Is the yellow line? I don't know if you can see the yellow line. I think so. So is this big box? Let me show you from the top. Let me show you from the top. You see it? So this yellow box, which is basically covering the whole city, this part of the city. Now you could have multiple boxes, but at the moment I have only one. By the way, we are streaming at higher resolution today. So the resolution I'm streaming is 1080p, 1080. So it should be much better, let's say way more sharp. You know, you could probably read now every single text, even the small ones like this one on the right side. So you could probably read everything. I will see if it's okay. Tell me if it's okay for you. I think you can still switch the quality settings. So if you want to get the lower quality, maybe because you have slower internet, you can still switch to a lower setting, which is very nice, and it is provided automatically by YouTube. Okay, so we created this box, and then we ask Unreal to create a navigation mesh. Boom, there it is. This thing that you can trigger by pressing the letter P, I don't know why P, but anyway, P, is our navigation mesh. So meaning that, as you can see, all the vertical surfaces are not part of the navigation mesh, because we are not in a game of Spider-Man, but we are in a game of a fantasy setting. Then if you would like to walk also vertically, that would be another thing. At the moment we are not doing it. Maybe we will be able to climb, but that's another discussion. So this thing is recognizing, as you say, all the walkable areas. So it recognizes that it is walkable, they recognize that the tree by itself is not, so you see you cannot walk up. It's recognizing, for example, the stair. I don't know if this geometry, I mean, is of any problem. We will see if we have a problem in walking up or not, but it should not be. It recognizes that this level is also a walkable area. You see this green part, so it's basically recognizing properly automatically without me doing anything apart from dropping this volume into our world. Yeah. So just to give you an idea, if I move, let me give you an idea. If I move this box, this huge box, can I go full screen with this? No, maybe I can, but I don't know how. Game view, massive view, immersive mode. Oh, there it is. Wow. Okay. If I take this thing, which is our navigation mesh, right, and I decide to move it, for example, let's say that I move it. Let me go up a bit. So we fly up. Okay. If I move it to the right, like this, like to half of the city, you will see that the engine starts to recalculate everything, right? So it's doing all the work of removing the old navigation mesh and is recreating a new one in the area that I selected, including the grassland, the height map, right? So you see now he created the navigation mesh, but it stops exactly where I stopped my where my box finishes. Okay. Now, still the roof of those houses are selected. I think it depends on the slope. So based on the slope that you have, like this slope seems to be okay, but maybe this other slope is too vertical, right? And so it's not selected. So I think there are some parameters that we can tweak, but we don't care about the roofs at the moment, right? We don't care about the roofs. We don't care because anyway, our NPC, at least for now, will not walk on roofs. And let's say navigation mesh, for my understanding, let me just put it back to where it was. The navigation mesh, for my understanding, is something that is used for the NPCs only and not used for the player, but I don't know, maybe we can also use it for the player, right? I think the player is just colliding using the collision mechanism with geometry, while NPC are really using this to navigate. So we use this to navigate, to move automatically, to have things move automatically into the world, right? So for example, they cannot step, they cannot step where there are these things, right? So they will have to walk around it, right? Which is fine with us. I don't know the small holes that we see, if they are of any problem or not, but I don't think so, because I think that it is just a giant square. There is just one giant square, and it's just that it is just slightly going through the floor in this particular place, but I don't think it's a problem for navigation. I think navigation is perfectly fine. Okay, so that is the first thing you have to do, and this is what I did already. Now, and this was the easy part. Now, the complex part is to associate to one NPC, which we, by the way, with the plane shift now, we are creating dynamically, right? Hello, Satya. Yes, I increased to 1080p. I think it's probably better. Let's see if it works this way. So the thing that we have to do, we have to set up our NPC brain, so that he is able to do something. So for this, I was following a tutorial. Well, I'm actually following a tutorial that just started, but to configure an NPC which is following the player, right? Right, to configure so basically the result of this behavior tree nodes, let me just see where I had where is the beginning of this tutorial. Yeah, so I think the result that this tutorial wants to show you is this. So basically you have a player on the left which is moving, and there is an NPC that as soon as he sees you, he's trying to chase you, right? And he continues to follow you, right? He continues to follow you. This is what the tutorial is doing. For us, I think is enough, right? So as a first start is enough. The only complexity that we have is that we cannot do it on an empty map, because I would like to do it in my map. I mean, doing it on an empty map, okay, I assume it works, so I don't need to do it there. The problem is adapting this example to our game, to what we have already, right? Which is pretty complex, because at the moment we have NPC loaded in C++ code, we have our own 3D model for the city, we have our own characters which are in C++ plus blueprints. So I mean, our setup is not really a conventional setup, right? It's not something you can just quickly. So I will have to see how we can adapt to this example, right? I will have to see how to do this. So let me see where I was in this tutorial, because I was following just now. So I created, so for example, the creation of the character we don't have, because we have our own character, and so we assume that we have to add to our character this logic somehow, some way. I don't know yet how. We will see. So the tutorial is asking you to create few objects. In particular, I created a new folder called characters AI, and in this folder is asking you to create controller, an AI controller that you just create by going here to artificial intelligence behavior 3 blackboard and AI controller. I think you have to search it under classes, but it's the same. So I created this thing is, and then what it's asking us to do is to populate this graph, right, inside the AI controller blueprint. So I will move this to the right, to my second screen, to my second monitor, if I can grab it, so that I will be able to see the tutorial on my right and to work on, let's say, on this screen, right? So we go quicker, we go a bit quicker. So this is inside our follower AI controller. Okay, you see that I have set up already some of that. So I just want to double check that I have all the steps. So event begin play. At the moment I have no idea what this does. I just copy pasted it. So is asking to the controller AI to use a specific blackboard. Blackboard, for what I understand, is the data storage. So it's like the brain of the, well, not the brain, it's like the memory of the NPC. Okay, so it's what it knows, what data it can use to actually move, right? So it's not the brain, but it's the memory, right? And there's the blackboard. So we created one blackboard, which is here, is this object here, follower blackboard. And the first thing that they do is to associate, you say, this controller to the follower blackboard. Okay. Then they are setting a value as a vector. I have no idea what this does, but basically they are setting a value on the blackboard. Self get blackboard. Okay, after assigning the blackboard, they go to the blackboard and they assign the current location. Get control phone, get actor location. Okay, so they assign as home location the current location of the NPC. So basically knows where it started from, right? So these boxes are telling the NPC where it started from. Yes. So then they associate run behavior 3. So then they just run, call this function, which I have no idea what it does, but we selected the follower behavior 3. Okay, the behavior 3 I think is the brain. So the blackboard is the memory, the behavior 3 is the brain. So it tells the NPC what to do. Okay, so this I did, which is fine. Then what I have to do next, just checking the tutorial. All of that is set up now. I think we need to go, yes, to this part. So I need to, I can compile this. I need to go into my B3 this time, which is the behavior 3, right? So this behavior 3 actually was empty at the beginning. I added these components just now, and following the tutorial it tells you that these components are a bit like blueprints, but they have output and input. So for example, this one has an input here and an output here, right? So we are just trying to follow the tutorial, and maybe for this part I can do this so you can also see the tutorial. I don't know if there is a value for you to see this, but so you see I'm following exactly the same schema. So what it says, okay, sequence, compose, select. So this is just telling you how to create it. So we created this. Now we created this simple thing, right? We don't know exactly what it does, but we created it, and then we will test it to understand what it does. Now it's asking us to make a service. So services are attached to composite node that will execute and define frequency. These are often used to make check node that these are present partition of parallel node on PO3. In this case, the service is going to, it's going to look for any boundaries not necessarily. So you see, this is the brain. So what it's doing, it will search for a target to follow. So the NPC will look around trying to search someone to follow, right? Which is very interesting. I don't know how they do it. Let's see. So steps: open the video follower behavior. I have it. It's this one. By double clicking in the content browser, select new services. I think I did this already. Agro check. Yes, I did this already, but it was empty. So we created this, and now it's saying that we should create this graph. Oh my god, this graph. This graph, which is this graph. Okay. So we need to create this big thing here. We need to create this thing. I will move it to the right side so I can see it better. Otherwise, it's hard for me to follow it. Another thing that it's saying is that we have to create variables, right? We have to create variables, but variables here. Target to follow, my location, target to follow location. The variable names, type, and value for this blueprint. Okay, so yes, we have to create a number of variables. I think they are here in AgroCheck, right? In this asset. I don't know. Let's just do it, and then we will see. Let's just follow what he tells us to do. I mean, at the moment I'm not fully understanding what I'm doing, but who cares? So we have to create this variable. This variable is a type array. Okay, easy, and we need to set it as object query type. Okay, this is probably how he selects the player. So he's searching for a specific type of object, and he probably keeps in his mind these objects. Okay, then he wants to have another variable, which is, why is the detail panel and it's not here at the bottom, which was a bit better. So I create the variable, I see the thingy. Okay, so this variable should be called my location. Likely they made it in text, so I can copy paste. There is a vector. There is a vector 3D.